Yeah, gray clouds over my head where I used to reside in the depths of the ocean, chilling next to Poseidon, where the bottle of alcohol was my medicine, knocking on the gates to salvation, hoping they let us in. I wasn't feeling me, demons inside killing me. I was the end of me, friends became enemies. I smoked blunts thinking grams was the whole solution. Self-destruction, learned it was my execution. Truth hurts when applied to yourself. I took a mirror, then applied myself. Then I supplied my wealth, but only by the glory of the Most High. Hands to the firmament, and of course I humbled myself and prayed in sincerity. Used to suffer from lust demons, now these demons are scared of me. Praise to the Most High Yahweh, I know He by His Son Yahweh Shai, and now it's I hope I inspire some. I know the struggle, it might feel like you are on your own, but keep it pushing, don't look back or you'll turn into stone. Wet winter morning praying for summer sunsets. They wanna make assumptions when we waiting for trumpets. Life changes even if you feel the death in spirit, but if sheep recognize His voice and we getting near it. So I'm speaking these truths loudly, I'm like a lion, hoping you could get aligned with walking the walk with righteous. You long for something you're not sure that you'll ever acquire, and that's a feeling we all had before the Messiah. Read a proverb, a psalm, and a prophet, and I promise you'll find what you lost in identity.
Right now all is strange, as if there were a cloud overcasting my mind, making all things fuzzy and dull, like a wet winter morning, with all senses numb. I feel dead in spirit, with only the desperation for happiness amidst. How wonderful it is to long for something you're unsure you'll ever acquire. And let's say I'm lucky enough to, even for just a small amount of time. May it be maintained? Or when a blizzard hits unexpectedly, will it return and remain chilled, cold to the soul, and which is deeper than flesh and bone? My mind runs wild in a world forcing domestication. Can you imagine my tribulations?
My tribulation to transformation to invitation. I hope you're patient, I hope you're chasing, I hope you make it. Seek the kingdom, I pray we make it. You gotta be real in this walk, you cannot fake it. Deliver me from all temptation, cause nowadays Satan is so blatant. But Yahweh had not given us the spirit of fear. In the face of adversity, we still here. He put people in my life who I needed the most. Humble down, there is no more need to boast. Cold to the soul, this world can be without Him. He is my summer, when I fall back to Him it's autumn. This world is crazy if you don't have faith. Just don't get lazy or you won't get paid. I read it from that page. That's Proverbs 20, read verse 4. This book is life, just when you thought you knew it all, there's more. I follow these commandments, these devils walk amongst us. That's why I wear these fringes you read about in Numbers. Been through the coldest winters, even the hottest summers. They try to kill, they try to break, they hate, they try to numb us. I came from a place dark and abysmal. I thought I was enlightened by chakras and crystals. Tobacco sunrise, vodka sunsets, trippy Sundays, maybe someday I would sober up and bathe in sun rays. Anxiety was creeping, plus depression was depleting my mental. I cope with cushion lo-fi instrumentals until I picked the Bible up and turned away the enemy. That was the beginning and the end of me. Then I found identity.
Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shalom, shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Hope y'all are having a good one so far. Success journey. Shabbat Shalom. Everybody who's on here, it says there's 6 people on here so far. So Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's observing the Sabbath today. As a matter of fact, I think it's actually Sabbath as well for those that go by the moon calendar. So Shabbat Shalom to everybody. Today we're gonna do a lesson that's gonna be called "You'll train up your children if you love them," right? If you love them. So this is gonna be a real good lesson for anybody who has children, or if you plan on having children in the future, right? It's a good lesson or a good verses, scripts to have under your belt when it comes to getting ready to be either a mother or a father, etc. Right? So if we're gonna start in Genesis 18 and 19, Genesis 18 and 19. And as a matter of fact, you know what? Noah, come here.
Bring it out.
What's up?
Hi.
You want to say hi?
Yeah.
Come say hi. Say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. All praise to the Most High.
Say Shalom.
Shalom.
You want to say some verses for them, real quick? What's Isaiah 58 and 1?
We fight for lives animals.
Wrong one.
Oh.
Isaiah. That's that zeal, bro. Isaiah 58 and 1.
We fight for our lives.
No, bro. Isaiah. Well, you getting camera shy or what?
No.
Isaiah 58 and 1. What is it?
I want to see on it.
You want to see on it? What about, I'll give you an easy one. Exodus 15 and 3. Yahweh?
Jehovah's Emmanuel. Yahweh is his name.
Nice. What about Isaiah 58 and 1? You don't remember?
Cry loud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people the transgression, and the house of Jacob the sins.
Nice. What about 1 Corinthians 14:40? Let
all things be done decently and in order.
Nice. What about Proverbs 9:13?
The foolish woman is clown, she's simple and knows nothing.
Nice. What about 1 Maccabees 3:21?
We fight for life animals.
Nah, you got it. And what about 2 Ezra 2:29?
I forgot.
My
hand shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell.
Nice. Okay, you go back with your mom, okay? Say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Okay. Close the door, dude. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So yeah, so that's my my 4-year-old son, right? And as you could tell, he got a little camera shy there for a second. But it's cool. He knows about maybe 7 or 8 verses. I forget which ones he even has memorized. So sometimes he probably knows a few more than that. But the point is, he's 4 years old, right? And that's how our children should be, right? That's our children should at least be in the scriptures, even if they can't read yet. He hasn't really learned that many more recently, just because we're trying to get him to learn how to read. So he's been concentrating more on that, and my ribs been concentrating more on that. But that's how we should be training up our children, right? So if you want to go ahead and read Genesis 18.
Genesis 18 and 19. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahweh to do justice and judgment, that Yahweh may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him.
So this is talking about the Most High, talking about Abraham, right? And it said that he knew that he would command his children and his household after him, after the Most High, shall keep the way of Yahweh and to do justice and judgment, right? And that's why the Most High Yahweh would bring upon Abraham that blessing, right? So if you want to get Hebrews, the 12th chapter, and actually I'm gonna see if my Wi-Fi will cooperate with us today. I'm gonna try and share my screen, and because we're gonna read a few verses. And go to Hebrews 12 and start on 6.
This is Hebrews 12, verse 6. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son who he receiveth.
So it says, whoever the Most High loves, he's going to chasten, right? He's going to correct. And a lot of times, I mean, even us in this truth, sometimes we don't like to be corrected, but we still got to take that correction, right? If you go off, the Most High is going to correct you. And a lot of times he'll let you know, he'll put that spirit on you to know, like, oh man, it's because I did this. It's because I went off here. It's because I was doing something I wasn't supposed to. And now he's correcting me, right? Let's keep going.
If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not?
So it says, if you endure these things, right, he that endures until the end, the same shall be saved. Then the Most High deals with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father doesn't chasten, who he doesn't correct? If you love your children, you are going to chasten them. You're going to correct them. You're going to reprove them, right? Just like the Most High, he corrects and chastens those who he loves, right? For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? It's asking a question, right? It's saying who doesn't get chastened. It tells you right here who. Whoever the Most High doesn't chasten, he's not dealing with you like a son. He chastens his sons, right? Which is why we know Israel, so-called Hispanic, Native American, and African Americans. That's why we're going through all these things, all these curses, because the Most High is chastening us. He's trying to correct us, right? Go ahead.
But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons.
So it says you're a bastard. You don't even have a father if you're not being chastised, right? And this is why I've told people many times. I've told a brother and a sister that I could think of right off the top of my head that, like, when the Most High stops punishing you and you think like, man, I'm not even getting punished. I'm living in sin. I'm doing all these wicked things. That's a good sign that the Most High is just done with you, right? It's like the scriptures say, the wicked's light shall be put out. Sometimes the Most High just puts your light out. Like he's not dealing with you anymore. You are now a bastard and not sons, right? So when that chastisement stops, that's when you really need to be worried. Go ahead.
Furthermore, we have had fathers of our flesh, which corrected us, and we gave them reverence. Shall we not much rather be in subjection unto the Father of spirits and live?
So just like we've had fathers, whether it be our actual father, our grandfather, whether it be father figures, your uncle, cousin, whoever it is you look up to, and they correct you, right, of your flesh, meaning physically, and they correct you and you gave them reverence. You respected that. Okay, they corrected me. Yeah, they're right. I need to listen to that. Shall we not much rather be in subjection to the Father of spirits? We should much more be in subjection to the Most High and live, right? Because it's like Moses had said, or the Most High said through Moses, I give you the choice. It's this day, either life or death, right? Life if you choose to follow the commandments, and death if you don't. Go ahead.
For they verily for a few days chastened us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness.
So the reason that he chastens or chastises us is because he wants us to be partakers in his holiness, right? He wants us to live according to his word, make it to the kingdom. Go ahead.
Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yielded the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby.
So even though it says now no chastening for the present seem to be joyous, when you're getting punished, it doesn't seem like a joyous thing. It's not a happy, oh yes, I'm getting chastened by the Most High, I'm getting punished. No, it seems grievous, right? It brings grief. It's like, damn, man, why do I got to go through this? Well, because you sinned, right? Nevertheless, afterward, it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness. afterwards, if you take that correction and you start living by it, it's going to bring the fruit of righteousness, right? Which brings what? It brings peace. Only to those unto them which are exercised thereby. So when you exercise, you're lifting weights or whatever the case may be, what happens? What happens to you physically? You get stronger, right? So it's the same thing when you're getting chastened by the Most High, right? So now why am I saying that? Because I'm gonna go to Genesis real quick. This is supposed to be about children, right? First and foremost, we are the children of the Most High, right? So we have to listen to our Father in order to even be considered in order for us to even have a chance to be good physical parents to our children, right? Go ahead, Art.
Genesis 1:27. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them.
So man is made in the Most High's image. So what does that mean? That means we need to follow after his righteousness, right? Like the scriptures say, be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect. Now we can't be perfect all the time, but that is exactly what we're supposed to be shooting for, right? So when we go back to Hebrews, and in Hebrews it says that the Most High chastens who he loves, right? When it says the Most High chastens who he loves, then that's what we need to do as well, right? If you love your children, then what are you supposed to do? Go ahead and read that one more time out.
For whom the Lord loveth, he chastened, and scourgeth every son who he received.
So whoever the Most High loves, he's going to chasten, he's going to correct, right? So the same thing with us. If we were made in his image, then we need to make sure that we are also correcting and chastening, right? Let me go on the look at the comments real quick. So Khan, Daweed, humble servant of Yahusha, Shabbat Shalom. Yes, chastise the one he loves. Exactly. So we have to chastise. You got to understand there's many parents that say that they love their children. If you ask any parent, they're going to say that they love their children. Pretty much. Right? You know anybody who would say they don't love their children not?
Nah, not personally.
So Khan, yes, if Yah is not punishing you, he has cut you off. Right? So actually, you know what? I wasn't really planning on doing this, but let me give y'all a little testimony of mine. Right? Not too long ago, actually last month, I think I may have mentioned it to you, but last month, my two oldest daughters, who are 10 and 12, right, they had to go stay for the whole month according to the court, with their biological mom, right? Did I tell you about that, Ak, or no?
I believe you mentioned it.
Okay, Khan. So basically what happened, she's the woman that I was with in high school. We had two children, and my two oldest daughters. So long story short, I have full custody of them, but it's court ordered that they have to go with her for a month during the summer, right? So their mom is real big on everything wicked. Let's just say that. Everything, anything and everything that's wicked. So basically what happened was they would come with me every other weekend the whole month that they're with her, right? And they came back one of the weekends, and my younger of the two, the 10-year-old, she came back, and so I could tell something was off. Long story short, she came back with her hair. Okay, so you can see my hair, right? Kind of.
Uh,
She came back with her hair probably about here. You know what I'm saying? And she knows that my rib and all three of my daughters, I already told them, you're gonna let your hair grow long. You're not gonna be cutting your hair. Your hair is your glory, right?
Yep.
Woke soul, shalom, Shabbat shalom. So long story short, I asked her when she did it. She said she got mad. She cut it, whatever, right? So then I was already like, man, that's off, right? And it was actually on a Sabbath as well that this happened. So my older daughter told me that my younger daughter, had told her mom and her mom's now current boyfriend, which they support LGBTQ, RSTUV, all of that. She told one of them that she wanted to how do you call it? Like where you call yourself something, you identify. Yeah, con the water. She wanted to identify as something called pansexual. Have you ever heard of that?
I've heard of it. I'll be completely honest. I'm not up to date with the various amounts of identifications.
Hey, the same here. I had no idea what that was. No idea what that was. So my first reaction was obviously vexation, anger on the inside, which at the point I was like, look, it's Sabbath. You know what? My older daughter told me this. So I went to my younger daughter, asked her about it. She had also cut her hair, whatever. So I was like, you know what? You wanna be like that? You don't want to listen to me, blah blah blah. I'm taking you back to your mom's house. And she was like, okay. So I took her back to her mom's house. So this is what it means. I'm gonna read it because I had no idea what it was. Pansexual is the attraction to people regardless of their gender. Um, they are attracted to people of every gender identity. So according to what my older daughter said, they my younger, the 10-year-old, had seen videos or something saying that means you can like boys, girls, cartoon characters, anything like that, right? Anything. So long story short, to cut the story short, right? I told her, look, if you're gonna be like that, if you're not gonna obey things of that nature, then you're gonna have to stay at your mom's house. I'll look into setting up a court date so you can move with her, whatever. But I'm gonna give you the rest of the month with your mom. You're gonna come back to my house. You're gonna have a month of it's gonna be strict. You're gonna be Bible studying every day. You're gonna have your head covered every day. You're gonna be wearing skirts, dresses, everything that she's supposed to be doing that we make her do anyways, right? So at the time, at the time that this happened, me and my rib talked about it. We actually had another sister here that we were studying with when all of this was going down. So you know how when something happens and there's someone there to see it and it just makes it so much worse,
Con.
right? So that's basically what happened, right? That's basically what happened. But to explain what came out of it, right? Let's go ahead and read this out.
Con. Matthew 10:37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me.
Con. So we have a lot of flashcards, right? A lot of that me and my rib have studied over the years. So this is a verse that we both have memorized, and both of us, after I took my daughter over there, whatever, I was about to drop her off, and I remember the last thing I said, I was like, look, 15, 20, 30 years ago, there was no such thing as a pansexual. The only reason you even know or have heard of that word is because you've been on the internet, right? And I told her mom, like, hey, I don't want her touching a phone, computer, no type of internet anymore, right? And she agreed to it, but I mean, who knows? Her mom and me don't really have a good standing, right? So what me and my rib and actually the female that was here too, the sister that was here, we were actually going over these verses, and this was one of them that came to mind. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. He that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Right? So keeping this in mind, and we actually were going over this stuff, and that was the spirit that I was in. Even though I'm sure, as you can imagine, and anybody who has children can imagine, it was very vexing, even initially angering, right? But I know, like, I gotta. The first thing I was thinking is like, all right, you know what? It's Sabbath. I'm not gonna let it get me out of the spirit, etc. Right? So we kept talking, whatever. We kind of studied and went over. You know how Abraham was willing to sacrifice his son, right?
So,
And that's exactly the mindset or the spirit that I was in, to the point where I was like, man, I really don't want to. I don't want to have to do that. But if it comes down to it, I'm not going to have or allow wickedness in my house when it is my house. You know what I'm saying? So me and my rib talked about it and everything. Even the sister that was here, I mean, when somebody's there and they're already a part of it, we even talked with her about it, everything. We turned it into a study because, as we've said many times, like, everything can be, you can learn from everything. It's all relates to the scriptures, right?
so
So let's read this one more time, and then I'll keep going with the lesson.
Genesis 18 and 19. For I know him that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment.
So no matter what, we have to strive to be like Abraham, right? The Most High said, I know him. He's going to command his children. He's going to command his household to follow the ways of the Most High. So even in Exodus 20, which we've gone over on previous lives probably multiple times, for example, when it talks about the Sabbath, it says everybody in your house has to keep the Sabbath. Your children have to keep the Sabbath. The stranger that's in your gates has to keep the Sabbath. Everybody, right? So that falls on us if we're allowing the people in our home to be wicked, right? So what happened was, it's what, the 9th, I think? Yeah, the 9th today. So what happened was they ended up coming back, my two oldest, from their moms, because the month was over. And go ahead and read this, and I'll explain what happened. You just want to go up just the first part.
Con. Psalm 65 and 5. By terrible things and righteousness wilt thou answer us, O God of our salvation.
So sometimes by terrible things in righteousness will the Most High answer us, right? So the whole time that they were over there, because this happened probably maybe around the 15th of last month. So then another 2 weeks, they were still with their mom and everything. Me and my rib were praying about it, whatever, saying, hopefully she comes out of that spirit, whatever. But nevertheless, let your will be done, right? Speaking to the Most High. So even when my daughters were coming back, because they would come back every other weekend, every other Wednesday, and she still seemed to be, in that rebellious type of spirit, right? And what me and my rib were saying is, like, their mom, to my knowledge, still smokes weed. The female that she lives with still smokes weed, which, like we said, it's pharmakia, it's sorcery, witchcraft. So there's a lot of spirits in that house, right? So we were praying, maybe when she comes back, she'll come out of that spirit, whatever. So that was a terrible thing for us to go through. But actually, when she came back, she not only did she apologize, but she also said that she was doing it for attention, and she was doing it because she felt bad for those type of people, that for the LGBT type of people, right? Because there's her mom lives with somebody, a female, and she has a son, and the son's always making fun of LGBT, whatever, right? So not only did she apologize, but now she's covering, wearing bandanas without us even having to ask. She's doing her chores without even us having to ask. She had saved up money from months and months back. She has like $100 and something, and she was telling me today She wants to use it to buy a Bible, highlighters, head wraps, all this stuff without us even having to tell her, right? And I just feel like it's cool that we're doing this today, because I wasn't really planning on sharing this, but we're going through the scriptures, and I think it's a really good example, right? By terrible things in righteousness will thou answer us, O Yahweh of our salvation, right? So sometimes the Most High has to he tests your faith, right? It's just like Job. When he tested his faith, and he never turned away or never lost faith, right? Or the same thing with Abraham. Abraham was willing to sacrifice his child with his son Isaac, right? But he didn't. The Most High just made him prove himself, and then, you know what? All right, you don't even have to do it. So I feel like the same thing, in a sense, on a smaller scale, happened to me as well. And I feel like all praise to the Most High that my faith and my ribs were strong enough to make it through that. You know what I mean? Because we were to the point where, like, all right, you know what? We're gonna have to, if things don't turn around, we're gonna have to set up a court hearing. We're gonna have to talk to a judge, see if she can go with her mom, and all this other stuff, which it would have got messy, right? It would have got real ugly. I already know. But the point of that is, no matter what, you have to put the Most High first, right? You can't love your children more just because they're your children. You can't love anybody more than the Most High. And when you put your faith and your trust in the Most High, then guess what? He's gonna make things work out for the better, one way or another, right? So let's go to Deuteronomy 11 and 18. So like we've said before, it is a law to teach your children, right? It's 100% a law of the Most High to teach your children. Go ahead, Art.
Therefore shall ye lay up these my words in your heart and in your soul, and bind them for a sign upon your hand, that they may be as frontlets between your eyes.
Go ahead.
And ye shall teach them your children, speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by thy way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So you're supposed to keep the words of the Most High in your heart, in your mind, right? And you're supposed to teach them to your children, right? So if you're in the truth, whether it be a few weeks, a few days, a few years, many years, this is a law that you have to keep. You have to teach them to your children, right? Speaking of them when thou sittest in thine house, sitting around your table studying, right? Praying, when you walkest by the way, when thou liest down, when you rise up. All of these things have to be, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter the time of the day. You need to make time to teach your children, right? Matter of fact, let's go to the verse that I'm sure everybody is familiar with. Proverbs 22 and 6.
Proverbs 22, verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
So train up a child in the way he should go. What's the way that our children should be walking? What's the way that we want them to walk? It's that straight gate, right? It's that straight path. Because when he's older, as they get older, right, they're not going to depart from it. The longer you stay living a certain way, the harder it's going to be to break those patterns, to break those generational curses, like they say, right? And people, it's funny because people want to blame the, let's say, oh man, my child just is disobedient. My child is they just don't listen. Man, my child is so angry. Whatever the case may be. But it all comes down to the way that you're training them up, or the way that you're not training them up, right? Because if you're not training up your child in the scriptures, then the world is going to be training up your children, right? And we know this world is wicked. As a matter of fact, a brother sent me oh well, I got this on airplane mode, I can't see it, but did you see that? Somebody, I can't remember who posted it. It was like an LGBT church thing, and it was a dude, I think he was like in a choir or something like that, and he was saying basically that he said something like I only saw like the first 10 seconds of it, but he said basically like, if y'all think that we're gonna try to brainwash your children or something like that, and yeah, you're right. Did you see that?
Nah. Wait, this was like in a church?
I think he was like in a church choir or something like that.
Nah, I've not seen that.
You know, somebody had just sent it to me actually. Let me see if it's still logged in. Okay, no, it's not logged. But you know what? I think it was Chief Ephraim had posted it.
Look it up.
You want to look it up real quick? I believe it was Chief Ephraim that had posted it. Just to show you, like, if we're not training up our children in the word, then this world is going to train them up. So we can't blame other people or we can't just put all the blame on our children. Oh man, my child just doesn't listen. My child is so bad. My child is this. My child is that. When it all comes down to us training up our children right or not. Right? What? Let me get this first.
Come. I found it, by the way, but I'll read it if you need.
No, go ahead. If you can put it up on the screen. Let me I'm gonna make your screen big real quick. Go ahead, Ak. You want to put it on the screen real quick? Just play like the first 15, 20 seconds of it.
Give me 1 second. Make it smaller.
Con, if you want to just play like the first 15 or 20 seconds of it, Ak.
Are you sharing my screen yet?
Con.
Yeah. Let me share my screen. Share screen. Come on.
And you will bear. So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked? Really, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. Just like you worried, they'll change their group of friends. You won't approve of where they go at night to protest. Oh, and you'll be disgusted so wrong when they start finding things online that you've kept far from their sight, like information. Guess what? You'll still be alright. We'll convert your children. Yes, we will. Reaching one and all.
So we couldn't see the dude speaking, but I mean he looks pretty gay, huh?
I mean, man,
we'll just leave it at that, right?
That's wild.
So
yeah, that's creepy. That's Salakia. That's so sad because you could only control so much of what people see online.
Con, exactly, and that's why, like I was saying about my younger daughter, she wasn't even. It's real easy to just see something for them and then just want to follow it. You know what I mean? It's easy for them to just see something and their minds are fertile ground. You know what I'm saying? And that's why Yahushua said you have to become like this child. Like they can take on, when you have that children's mindset, you're not coming from, I've been Catholic for 50 years or Christian for 50 years. It's easier to pick up this truth and just with a fresh, clean slate, clean mind, and just that's what you're gonna live by. You know what I'm saying? So our children are like that, and if you're not feeding them the right thing and planting the right seeds and watering the right seeds, then stuff like that, like he said, he was saying, we'll convert your children. You're right. We're going to convert your children. Literally.
I don't know if you've seen it. I may have to do more research on it. I haven't really looked into it too much, but I believe they're introducing like the sex ed stuff that they're giving kids now is a lot more it's a lot more wicked, to say the least. You know, they're and I may be misspeaking. I haven't looked into it, but I have seen some stuff about them teaching masturbation, all kinds of crazy stuff to kids. You know, part of the school curriculum. I'm not sure like if this is state specific or age specific, but the fact that they're already introducing that is just wicked if that's true.
I've seen that as well, and I believe it was in California, which we know California is always they're always like the beginning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But check out a couple of these. Well, this is all says in Chicago. Chicago schools to offer condoms to 5th graders, and then they're quoted saying society has changed. So giving condoms to 5th graders. I saw someone post this, I believe, yesterday or a couple days ago as well. Right. So if we're not teaching our children the right way, you can't blame everybody else if you're not even teaching your children the word in the first place. Right. So go ahead and read that out, Baba Kashaw.
Ezekiel 16:44. Behold, everyone that useth proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
So as is the mother, so is the daughter. Just like I said, if you're not teaching your children as a mother, right? I mean, she's going to learn from you either way. Whether you're wicked or whether you're striving for righteousness, she's going to learn from you. She's going to pick up the traits. Your children. That's one thing about our children. Our children are always watching. Even when you think they're not watching, they're always watching. Right? So everyone that uses proverbs or sayings is going to use this against you, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter. Right? So real quick, let's go to Titus 2. See what the women are supposed to be teaching their children. Go ahead.
Titus 2:3. The aged woman likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given too much wine, teachers of good things.
So the aged women, right? Once they hit that flower of age, once they have children, even before that, but this is what they're supposed to be teaching. They should be in behavior that is holy, right? The majority of women they're not conducting themselves in a holy behavior, in a set apart behavior, right? Not false accusers, not supposed to be liars, not supposed to be given to much wine, whether it be alcohol, whether it be weed, whether it be false doctrine, right? Teachers of good things. Go ahead.
That they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children.
So they're supposed to teach the younger women to be sober. Now, this doesn't just mean from alcohol, from weed, all of these things, but to be sober minded, to be level headed, not to be like Noah said, Proverbs 9:13 at the beginning. Foolish woman is clamorous, she's simple and knoweth nothing. Why do women get so clamorous? Because they're not sober minded. They're not level headed. They run off emotions, they run off of pride, they run off of ego, all of these things, right? They're supposed to be teaching the younger women this. And the best way to teach somebody something is by example, right? It's like when I would teach when I would teach children jujitsu for a few years, or like if I was teaching you, if I was going to show you a choke, right, on somebody, I wouldn't be like, okay, yeah, grab his neck, wrap your arm around his neck. No, your other hand. Okay, no, your other hand, and I'm just sitting back and I'm not doing it, right? The best way to learn, especially for children or especially for even for adults, it's visually. If I say, okay, look, I'm gonna grab here, I'm gonna grab here, I'm gonna start choking like this. If he turns here, then I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna put it behind this, I'm gonna show you visually, right? That's the best way for anybody to learn, but especially children. And if you're not showing children, if you're just telling them what to do, right, and you're not physically showing them, then they're not gonna do it. The majority of the time, they're not going to do it. So they're supposed to teach young women to be sober, to love their husbands. So what does it mean to love your husband? It means to treat him with respect, to reverence him, to honor him, to do what he asks you to do, right? As long as it's within the commandments, right? To honor your husband as unto Yahushai, like it says in Ephesians, right? To love their children. How do you love your children? We just went over it in Hebrews 12. The Most High, he chastens who he loves. So you correct your children, right? Go ahead.
To be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of God may not be blasphemed.
The women are supposed to be discreet. This is what they're supposed to be teaching their children. In other words, covering up. I'm sure you've seen, like I've seen a lot of times where it'll show like, and brothers are posting it in a teaching manner, to where it's like a mother and her daughter, and then it's like either they're both in short shorts or they're both in just something that is completely undiscreet, right? And this is what they're teaching their children: chaste or chaste, right? Have you heard back in the day those chastity belts that they used to make females wear?
Yeah, to preserve what is it? To preserve basically not virginity, but what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, dang, those things are crazy.
So so a lot of times it was to preserve their virginity. You even see on some of them they got teeth, and there's even, if you see right here, I don't know if you can see it, they would even put locks on them, right?
Man,
So you're supposed to be teaching. Now I'm not saying go to that extent, go to that extreme, right? But this is something that the females especially are supposed to be teaching the next generation, right? But instead they teach them how to be whores. Instead they teach them how to just get with a bunch of different men, how to party, how to be a quote unquote bad bitch, right? They're not teaching them how to be keepers at home. They're not teaching them how to clean, how to cook, how to love your children and your husbands, how to be discreet, not have all your business out there. They're not teaching them how to be good, right? The majority of children, like in my ribs family and in my family, we got a lot of cousins, as I'm sure you know, like in the so-called Hispanic community, we have a lot of babies, right?
God.
Even though they don't know it, they're being fruitful and multiplying, like the Most High said. And the majority of children are not good, right? They do not obey their parents, obedient to their own husbands. They're not obedient to their parents. They're not obedient to their grandparents, to anybody. They're not good, right? And this This is blaspheming the word, right? This is what a woman was made to do, to train. First and foremost, of course, like it says, in Genesis 2, it's not good that man shall be alone. I will make him a help, right? They're made to be the man's wife, but then also, of course, to do all these things, to teach the next generation, teach the young women, right? And now it is the let me make sure I say this. It is the husband's job to teach the household, right? But as a man, you have to understand that the man is supposed to be the provider, right? So when the man is out working, when the man is doing whatever he's out teaching, if the man is like we're on here right now, like right now, I'm sure my rib is studying with my children. She came and got the flashcards before they started, so I'm sure she's going over the flashcards or studying with them, right? But you have to understand that the woman can't really teach the children correctly if the man is not teaching the children or teaching the woman, right? Because you're never gonna see any scriptures that say a woman was teaching a congregation, right? It all starts with the head. So me, for example, I'll have studies with the whole family, right? Then sometimes I'll have studies with just the children. Then sometimes I'll have studies with just my wife, right? But for me teaching my wife, it's never gonna be like she's gonna be like, okay, girls, what do y'all want to study today? And they're gonna be like, okay, let's go to Ezekiel 24. I just feel like reading that. And they go to it, and my ribs gonna be like, okay, so this prophecy is talking about this. Okay, so this means this, and that's actually a parable. It's not real, and there's some precepts over here. That's never gonna happen. The real way that you teach your children as a woman is gonna be the man teaches you, and you're basically regurgitating or you're repeating what he has taught you, right? Or if you're not married and you've learned from whoever it may be, right? I'm not gonna say this person's bad, whatever. Wherever the Most High has led you, and you believe that that's correct, and I would say discernment is key, of course. But again, when a woman is teaching the children, if she doesn't have someone teaching her, it's not going to be 100% correct. And some people might say, well, that's feminist, or that's what is it, chauvinist, but that's the truth. Man teaches the woman teaches the children. That's why there's an order set up, right? So it all starts with the man, even though this in Titus is saying, hey, the women, they need to teach the young women, right? But if you look at the whole chapter, what does it start with? It says, but speak thou the things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men, all these things, right? And then the aged women, then it goes on to the aged women. As a matter of fact, you had pulled up that Wisdom of Solomon, right?
Con.
Go ahead and read that, and I'll get the next couple of verses.
This is Wisdom of Solomon 3:10. But the ungodly shall be punished according to their own imaginations, which have neglected the righteous and forsaken the Lord.
So the ungodly are going to be punished according to their own imaginations. In other words, right, it's like in Isaiah, 65, I believe, where it says that you can be punished according to your own fears, right? Or in Proverbs, the first chapter, he can bring your fears upon you, right? Which have neglected the righteous and forsaken Yahweh. The righteous thing to do, and most people neglect it, is to teach your children, is to teach your household, right? Go ahead.
For whoso despises wisdom and nurture, he is miserable, and their hope is vain. Their labors unfruitful, and their works unprofitable.
If you despise wisdom, you despise nurture from the Father, because like we read first in Hebrews 12, right? It said he's going to chasten the ones he loves. That's nurturing, right? And why is he doing it? So that we can start living wisely, so we can start getting this wisdom. But if you despise that chastening and that wisdom, and you don't in turn do the same to your children because you love them, you're going to be miserable. Your hope, anything you hope in, is going to be vain, worthless. Your labors are going to be unfruitful. The works that you do aren't going to profit you anything. Go ahead.
Their wives are foolish and their children wicked.
And your wives are going to be foolish. They're going to be simple. They're going to be stupid. That's what foolish means, a fool. And their children wicked, right? Your children are going to be wicked. Why? Because you don't want to teach your children, because you don't want to teach your household. It's like that saying, cut off the head and so falls the body, right? If the husband isn't teaching, then guess what? Everyone else down the line is going to be affected in one way or another, right? So if you don't want your wife to be foolish, you don't want your children to be wicked, right? Then as a man, you need to teach your household. You need to teach your wives, and then they need to teach your children. You can teach them as well, but we know that the women are going to have more access to the children because the man is supposed to be the provider, out working, studying, teaching, whatever the case may be, right? So that goes back to let's read this one more time in Ezekiel 16. Go ahead,
Ezekiel 16:44. Behold, everyone that uses Proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is her daughter.
As is the mother, so is the daughter, right? So it's just like, I believe it was in the live that we did about husbandry. How we're saying, like, why do you think there's so many women that choose a man that cannot be a good husband, right? The majority of the time, it's because they saw their mother do the same thing, right? Their mother chose someone, or chose multiple men that were not father figures, that were not husband material, that were not righteous or striving for righteousness. And then the mother just kept perpetuating this throughout their whole childhood. And this is in turn what the daughter saw, or daughters saw, right? Because I could personally think of many examples of this. The daughters see this, and then they grow up and choose men the exact same way. As is the mother, so is the daughter, right? Go ahead and read this one more time, Baba Shaw.
Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
So then the daughters saw the mother grow. They grew up seeing the mother with men, or a man that couldn't provide, couldn't lead, and they saw that, and that's what they learned, right? That's what they were trained up in as a child. And then when they got older, now they're not going to depart from it, right? Unless the Most High brings them out of that slumber, out of that, unless he pulls that veil from their eyes, right? So that's the more, I guess you would say, unrighteous version, right? But if you train up your child in the correct way, right? Let's read this. I believe we might have read a couple of these verses the other day when we were going over the Tobit verses,
Come.
but we'll read it again. Go ahead.
Tobit 4:5. My son, be mindful of the Lord our God all thy days, and let not thy will be set to sin, or to transgress against his commandments. Do uprightly all thy life long, and follow not the ways of unrighteousness.
So Tobit, as we'll actually get it as well, Tobit was a man that was following after righteousness, right? And then Tobias is actually who the story's about, right? But this is what we're supposed to be teaching our sons, right? My son, be mindful of Yahweh all your days. So what does it mean to be mindful? Have your mind full of the Most High all your days. In other words, you go over here and then you see a wicked woman, and then you know Yahweh says you're supposed to stay away from wicked women. You come over here and then these dudes want to go rob somebody or smoke weed, and you know, well, the Most High said, thou shalt not steal. The Most High said that you're supposed to stay away from pharmakia, you're supposed to guard your temple. That's being mindful, right? This is what we're supposed to be teaching our children, right? And let not thy will be set to sin. Don't be willing to sin. So what he's telling his son, or to transgress his commandments. Don't go against his commandments. Do uprightly all thy life long. So your whole life, you need to try and live upright. You need to not break these commandments. And follow not the ways of unrighteousness. Don't follow after all these wicked ways. Go ahead.
For if thou deal truly, thy doing shall prosperously succeed to these, and to all them that live justly.
Because if you strive for righteousness, you follow after the Most High, you try to keep his commandments, your doings shall prosperously succeed. Right? We just read in what was it? Wisdom of Solomon 3. It said, if you're living ungodly, nothing's going to go right for you. You're not going to prosper. All your labors are going to be in vain. Your hopes are going to be in vain. But if you do live righteously, you're going to prosper. You're going to succeed, right? And to all them that live justly. So how many people, what percentage of parents do you think even have ever even said this to their kids, to their children? Hey, as long as you deal truly, as long as you're trying to keep the commandments, right? Don't transgress his commandments. Let not thy will be set to sin. Be mindful of Yahweh all your days. Hey, don't follow after unrighteousness. Because if you don't do that, you're gonna live prosperous. You're gonna succeed. Right? What percentage of parents do you think have ever even told their children that? And they don't tell them that because they don't believe it, right? Because they're not trying to live that as well. Go ahead and read that out.
Tobit 4:12. Beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe. For we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred, and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land.
So the first thing he says, beware of all whoredom, my son. Right? This is something we got to teach our sons. You got to beware of whoredom. Beware of whoredom. You could get Deuteronomy 23 and 17, not Deuteronomy 23 and 17. Beware of, if we would just tell our sons, hey, don't get with no hoes. Right? How much suffering, how much curses would that help our sons out with, right? Chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers. Take an Israelite wife, and take not a woman, or take not a strange woman to wife, right? Don't take a wife of these other nations. Someone who's not an Israelite, someone who's not going to follow, someone who this word is not even for, which is not of thy father's tribe, right? So now I've heard brothers make the argument from certain camps. They make the argument, you're only supposed to marry your tribe. If you're marrying outside of your tribe, oh, you marry Judah and you're say Issachar, okay, well that's a sin. You're not supposed to do that. But as I don't know if you saw that picture I posted up earlier, where it says it's the 12 tribes chart.
Scattered.
That's the 12. That is closer to the real 12 tribes chart than any chart that they've ever made. Right? Every single tribe is scattered. Right? Now I'm not saying that there's not proof for certain, like tribe of Issachar, there is a strong ass couching down between two burdens, and in certain cities in Mexico, the donkey is the ass, or the donkey is the actual animal for the what would you call it, mascot, and all of these things. I'm not saying that there's not relations to the tribes and things of that nature, but all the tribes are scattered. Right? You do not know what tribe. No one can prove to 3 generations back, see, I'm this tribe. Right? So just to throw that in there, which is not of thy father's tribe, for we are the children of the prophets, Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Remember, my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred. Right? Stick with a Israelite woman, right? And they were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. This is what they were teaching. He was teaching Tobias, right? You want to go ahead and read that out?
Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 23:17. There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, nor a sodomite of the sons of Israel.
There shall be no whore of the daughters of Israel, right? So Tobias was telling Tobit, hey, beware of all whoredom. That's a sin. That's a huge sin, though. But notice he says all whoredom. Also, we know that spiritual fornication is a thing as well, right? But I'll just leave it at that. So let's go to chapter 7. I'll show you why I'm bringing this out. 7, and so Ragel, right, was thinking about taking Tobias to wife his daughter. So let's see what he had to say.
Tobit 7:7. And blessed him and said unto him, thou art the son of an honest and good man. But when he had heard that Tobit was blind, he was sorrowful and wept.
So he was telling Tobias, right? You're the son of an honest and good man. It was a man that was trying to follow after the Most High. Anyone teaching his son all of these things that we just read, he's a man that is trying to live honestly, trying to live by the Most High, or according to the Most High's word, right? Let me jump down to 16. So eventually he said, Khan, I want you to marry my daughter, right? Go ahead.
After Ragel called his wife Edna and said unto her, sister, prepare another chamber and bring her in thither.
So Ragel, he told Tobias, look, yeah, you're the son of Tobit, who is a man trying to follow the Most High, right? You're going to marry, I'm going to give you my wife to marry. So then he called Edna, right? And he said, prepare a chamber, which the chamber, the wedding chamber, right? Where they have sex and make the marriage official, right? They consummate the marriage, right? So let's go to, I think it's 8 and 4. Khan. So after that happened, they got the chamber ready. This is what Tobias did. Go ahead.
And after that, they were both shut in together. Tobias rose out of the bed and said, sister, arise, and let us pray that God would have pity on us.
So like we said before in another live, right? They were shut in together in the marriage chamber, And Tobias told her, he said, all right, let's pray. Before we consummate the marriage and have sex, let's pray together. Right? This is the type of men that we're supposed to be raising up. As men of the Most High, we have to be striving to raise up our sons according to the word so that they can be upright men like this, right? And the only way we can do that is by correcting our children.
Proverbs 23:13. Withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die.
So don't withhold correction from your children. We can't withhold correction from our children, right? The world tells us the world basically tells us that our children are supposed to rule over us, right? It's basically what this society teaches us. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go to it real quick. Isaiah 3:12. Go ahead.
Isaiah 3:12. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. O my people, they which lead thee cause thee to err, and destroy the way of thy paths.
So as for my people, children are their oppressors. In a lot of ways, people's children oppress them spiritually at least or the most, right? So say for example, you learn the truth and then you don't want to celebrate Christmas or observe Christmas and all these other pagan holidays, but what do people tell you? Oh, just do it for the children, right? Do it for the children. And those children spiritually oppress you, and you're going to sin for your children, and you're going to go against the Most High for your children. And like I said in Matthew 10, if you love your children more than Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, then you're not worthy of making it to the kingdom, right? So the word says, withhold not correction from your child, whether it be they're talking back, whether it be they're disrespecting their elders, whether it be they're doing something to break Sabbath, right? Whatever it is, you're not supposed to withhold correction from your children. For if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. So sometimes when it's consistent, right? But when it gets to that point and you feel that they need nothing else is working, you need to spank them. Shoot, I know I got spanked plenty of times when I was younger. What about you, Art?
I got the chancla.
Con, or the belt. You ever get the belt?
I got the belt once, never again. I learned my lesson.
Con, and that's the thing. You learn most children, it may take a couple more for some children because they're stubborn, they're Israelites, right? They're stiff-necked. But I remember my grandma who passed away earlier this year. She would go when I lived in San Antonio as a child. She would go and she would let me think I was going to get away with something. When it happens, she was like, okay, just remember. And then she would wait till I get out the shower, right? And man, my grandma, bro, she was only maybe 5'1" or 5'2", but she had I got pretty big hands for being as short as I am, right? She had some big old, thick fingered hands, bro. She would wait till I got out the shower and then with the wet hand, bro, that taught me, right? I took a couple of those one summer and that was it. I knew I had to respect her. Right? If you beat them with the rod, they shall not die. Go ahead.
Thou shalt beat him with the rod and shalt deliver his soul from hell.
So you may have to spank them. You may have to put them in timeout. You may have to, whatever the case may be. When I was in the summertime between 8th grade and 9th grade, my mom put me in this army boot camp, whatever you want to call it, because I kept misbehaving. And it was a week of like waking up at 5 in the morning and doing all these, basically like what they would do in the army, right? And what she was trying to do is she was trying to deliver me, not my soul maybe, but she was trying to keep me from going down that path I was going down, right? So we now being in the truth, or trying to walk in this truth, we have to know we have to correct our children to try to deliver their soul from hell, to try to deliver them from the lake of fire, to try to deliver them from being under all of the curses, right? Because if we're not, then how can we say that we love our children? How can you say you love your children, but you're not even teaching them the ways of the Most High? That doesn't make no sense.
Salakia, looks like C. David, humble servant of Yahusha, got the extension cord follow.
Extension cord follow. Damn. Never heard of that one. So yeah, I believe I got an extension cord one time. It was like the back of my thigh, bro. You know how it leaves like a welt?
Yeah, it's not a good place to get hit.
I remember that as well. But you have to understand that even though our parents or grandparents or tias or tios, whoever it was that you were being raised by, even if they weren't in the truth per se, they're doing it most of the time out of a spirit of correction, a spirit of they just want you to behave. They want you to act right. Right? So go ahead, Ak.
This is Sirach 30:1. He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end.
So this is exactly why most people do it. Most parents, right? Some people are just naturally abusive, right? And that goes back to Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way they should go, and when they're older, they're not going to depart from it, right? I know some people that I hung out with when I was younger, and they got beat for no reason, just because their parents were, or their father was drunk, or was pissed off, whatever the case may be, and now they're violent as well, right? But in a lot of cases, they're doing it so that they can have joy of you later, right? So that you're gonna turn out better, right? He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod. He's gonna punish you often, right? Just like the Most High. How much does he punish us, Ak, when we go off?
Constantly.
Often, right? And whether it just be, hey, sometimes he doesn't even have to punish you physically. It's just like he's gonna put that spirit on you to where you're like, damn,
Yeah,
about it, right?
yeah, definitely. That lowly state.
Exactly, right? Exactly. He'll like how it says in 1 Samuel. Actually, let me get that real quick. So he raises up the poor out of the dust, lifts the beggar up from the dunghill, right? But he also, what's that verse? He lifteth up and bring it down. Let me see. Psalm 75:7. Psalm 75:7. But Yahweh is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. So that wasn't the one I was looking for, but that's it's all good. It's the same concept. He can put you down, right? Sometimes he doesn't even have to physically punish you.
And
Sometimes
he put that spirit on Saul, right?
Khan, exactly. Right? Exactly. He put that evil spirit on Saul, and it said the spirit departed from him and an evil spirit troubled him, right? So now Saul ended up going off, right? But for a lot of us, Most High willing, it's gonna cause when he makes us feel that rod, and punishments, in the end, just like we read in Psalm 65:5, terrible things in righteousness. in hopefully Most High willing, when we get punished, it's so that in the end it can end up righteous. In the end, the Most High can have joy of us. And the same thing with our children. If you got to correct them, chasten them, spank them, whatever the case may be, you're doing it so that in the end you can have joy out of them. Now they know, they learned their lesson, like you said, Ak, and then they're going to want to follow the word more, right? Or like the example I gave earlier with my daughter, I told her, like, look, I'm not going to put up with this in my house. You're going to either follow the word or you're going to have to end up going with your mom, right? All praise to the Most High. That didn't have to happen, but we have to be in the spirit of chastising, because it's just like the Most High. Like we read in Genesis, the first chapter, if we're made in His image, we can't just be all love, right? Like the Christian church wants to tell us they're all love, right? Which is a matter of fact, I don't know if you saw that, Ark. I'm gonna do a live tomorrow on the Christian church.
Yeah, the wicked or something like that. I saw that.
So basically, there's a Christian. Well, there's many Christians in my family, right? But there's one in particular that believes wholeheartedly. All you have to do is love, just love everybody, which according to them obviously is just be nice, be kind, spread kindness, this type of thing, right? But we have to understand when it comes to children as well, if the Most High was just kind to us all the time, so you mean you could just be wicked, you could be LGBT, you could be a murderer, you could be an adulterer, you could break Sabbath, you could do all these things, and the Most High is just gonna love you, and He's gonna bless you and give you all these good things? No, that's not the way it works, right? There has to be a balance. So there has to be the same thing with our children, right? Go ahead and read that out.
He that chastiseth his son shall have joy in him, and shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance.
When you chastise your children, you're gonna have joy in them, right? And shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance, right? So, for example, when we went to San Antonio a few weeks ago, and we were hanging out with some brothers after we went out, and we spread the word and stuff, and then we went downtown San Antonio. We went and ate at a Denny's, and then I took Noah with me. It was just me, Noah. It was just the guys, right? And Noah started saying verses and stuff like this, and the brothers were like, "Oh man, that's cool, yeah," and all this stuff. You can rejoice and have joy in your children amongst brethren and amongst your acquaintances when you actually chastise them and when you actually teach them, right? Go ahead, Art.
He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
So he that teaches his son grieves the enemy. It grieves Satan to see that we're training up the next generation, right? Because that just means that his time is getting shorter, right? And that's what one of the brothers, when we were in San Antonio, actually said that too. He said something like that's Esau's biggest fear, to see that we're actually raising up our children in the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Because I was saying how we were at Denny's, and Noah said, "Yeah, I want pancakes and turkey bacon," and they were like, "Oh yeah, turkey." He said, even says turkey bacon. You know what I'm saying? And I was saying, like, it's crazy because he doesn't even know what pork tastes like.
Wow.
Like, imagine if we could have said, if we would have grown up like that, right? Imagine if we would have known scriptures when we were younger, or just had some kind of foundation when we were younger. So that grieves the enemy, that grieves Satan. Like, man, this child doesn't even know what pork tastes like. This child's been keeping Sabbath since he was a baby. This child knows a little bit of Hebrew. This child is 4 years old and he knows 10 Bible verses, right? That grieves the enemy. And before his friends he shall rejoice of him. Go ahead.
Sirach 30:4. Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he hath left one behind him that is like himself.
So if the father dies, he's leaving someone behind him that is like him because he trained him up the right way. Go ahead.
While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful.
So while he lived, he saw his son growing up in righteousness according to the word, and he rejoiced in that, right? He was happy in that. And when he died, he was not sorrowful. He wasn't sad because he raised up someone to be in his stead. Go ahead.
He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends.
So now these verses, there's many other verses as well that prove it. If you read the prologue to Sirach, which I'm sure you have before, it basically says that they don't really know who this is. They'll say it's Jesus, which that was a popular name back then, or Yahushua, right? But we know that this was actually King Solomon was the one who wrote this. And this is one of the verses it makes it pretty clear as to it being him, or pointing to the fact that it's him. Because it says, though his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he hath left one behind that is like himself. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends. So King David, right, when he was on his deathbed, the Most High let him live long enough to see Solomon become the king, right? And David was not sorrowful. He rejoiced in that. And then do you know what the first thing that Solomon did when he became the king? Ark?
I can't recall, to be quite honest.
So the first thing he did, like it says here, he left behind him an avenger against his enemies. He started killing off all of David's enemies. That's what he did. And David even told him, he said, these people are my enemies, these people are my friends, you're gonna be kind to them, etc., etc. This is exactly what it's saying. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness to his friends. But the whole point of it is you have to train up your children. And when you do train up your children, when you chastise them, right, that means you love them. And that means you'll have a better chance of having joy of them in the end, because you are raising them up and correcting them just like the Most High is correcting us, right? And that is what's going to grieve the enemy. Just like it grieves the enemy, it grieves Satan when us Israelites are starting to come back to our nationality, come back to the Most High, right? That grieves Satan. It's the same thing with us and our children, right? It's the Most High and his children, and then us and our children on a smaller level. So let's go to Sirach 41. So now this is like the other side of the coin. Go ahead.
The children of sinners are abominable children, and they are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly.
But the children of sinners, those that just, like we've said many times, we all sin, but a sinner is someone who consistently sins and sins and sins and sins. The children of sinners are abominable children. They're going to commit all types of abominations. Why? Because they're the children of sinners. A sinner is not going to teach their children how to not be abominable. They're really just going to teach them how to be abominable, right? And they that are conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. So if you're a sinner and you got children in your home, they're in the dwelling of the ungodly. Then also, if you're a sinner and you're hanging out with a bunch of other sinners, you're not following Leviticus 20 and 26. which says that you're supposed to be set apart and be holy. So then your children, the same thing. They're going to be conversant in the dwelling of the ungodly. They're just going to be hanging out with going to a bunch of people's homes that are ungodly. And they're going to be picking up those types of traits as well. Go ahead, Art.
The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach.
The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish. Right? It's like I know somebody who he inherited a whole lot from his parents. When one of them passed away and then the other one like moved away or something like that, he inherited a lot of money, right? But he blew through that money like quick, probably a couple years, and I'm talking about hundreds of thousands, right? But doing drugs, partying, all this stuff, that inheritance that they left him, shit perished real quick. Just as an example, and their posterity shall have a perpetual reproach, a shame, right? Those sinners' children is going to bring shame and shame and shame. Perpetual is everlasting, right? And when you think about it, it really could be also alluding to Esau, right? His inheritance, everything he's inherited, it's going to perish. It's not going to go on forever. And his posterity, the way people see him, is going to have a perpetual reproach, perpetual shame. Go ahead.
The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake.
So I know we all know somebody or multiple examples of this, right? Children will complain of an ungodly father or mother. Well, my father was never there. My mother was never there. They never helped me. They never taught me. They never, or they would beat me, or they would ignore me, or they were just always out partying, or they were whatever, right? Children shall complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached or shamed for his sake. A lot of children, I know, me when I was younger as well, I was ashamed for one of my parents' sakes, right? As I'm sure many people were. So this is not what we want our children to be. We don't want our children to be ashamed because of us, right? Whatsoever. So I'm gonna actually look at the comments real quick. So says testimony. I got a tattoo of mi querida madre Maricela on my back. Bro, I got my mom's name right here on my forearm as well. When I was like probably 18, 19. I was asleep wearing a muscle shirt. She saw my back tatted up, hit me on my tattoo thinking it was some gang stuff. When I told her what it said, she cried and hugged me, but still gave me another palo. That's funny, bro. That's funny. Con. And some of our parents, grandparents and stuff like that, like through the spirit, they even know like tattoos are wrong. You know what I mean? Whether they know it's a law or not. Oh, I just bought my mom a Spanish Sefer for her sister and my sister to read. They came out of Catholic Church. Now they're Christians. A step up, I said. I pray the Most High will reveal the truth to them. Con, all praises. You know, when it's older, like I've said many times, when they're older like that, you really got to have patience with them. As a matter of fact, I'll get that real quick in Sirach 3. I don't know if you saw the live I did about honoring your parents, but what I was saying is like you have to have patience with them, right? You have to have patience with them, especially when they're older like that. You got to understand that they've learned something for so many years, that it's such a humbling process for them to come out of that and accept that they were wrong for all those years. Go ahead, Art.
This is Sirach 3 and 12. My son, help thy father in his age, and grieve him not as long as he liveth.
So we're supposed to be helping our father, mother in their age as they get up in age, right? And grieve him not as long as he lives. And you're not supposed to try to cause grief to them in any way. Go ahead.
And if his understanding fail, have patience with him, and despise him not when thou art in thy full strength.
So if their understanding is failing, if they can't understand what you're trying to bring out to them, you're not going to, oh man, you're wicked. Oh, you're going to be put to death. Oh, you're 2/3. Oh, you're whatever, right? See, you're wrong. The Bible says this. No, you're supposed to have patience with them, right? And don't despise them when you're in your full strength. Because right now, as you're coming into the truth, well, I don't know how long you've been in the truth, Ak, but you're getting to your full strength, right? It's like I just turned 30, for example, and when I was in my early 20s, even mid 20s, things like that, it was like for like I always go back to martial arts as an example. In martial arts and stuff, like for being a small guy, short guy, like I would fight at 125 pounds. You know what I mean? I'm walking around at like 140 the most. So being my size, I always felt like I was strong. But now that I've gotten older and once I like hit 30, it's like, man, I just feel like they say in martial arts, they say you get that man strength, right? Looking at it spiritually, that's how you are once you get your footing and you get that foundation in the truth, right? You're coming into your full strength. And as people are older, as our parents are getting up in age, right? If their understanding is failing, you need to have patience with them, right? The Most High is the one who's giving you the spiritual strength, right? So we need to make sure that we're having patience with them so that the Most High can see that, right? Go ahead, Ak.
For the relieving of thy father shall not be forgotten, and instead of sins it shall be added to build thee up.
And relieving your father, your mother, your forefathers, foremothers, these older, the next or the generation before you, it's not going to be forgotten by the Most High, right? And in the stead of sins, it shall be added to build thee up. The Most High is going to see that, and he's going to say, you know what? All right, I'm going to use that to build you up as well. Or it's like me and you were talking about not too long ago, how when you're teaching people, it also helps you and it builds you up as well, right?
Most definitely.
So we'll just finish on that with this.
Sirach 3 and 3. Whoso honoreth his father maketh an atonement for his sins.
So just by honoring your father, your mother, your tia, your abuela, whoever it is, the generation above you, because when it says father or fathers, you have to understand that Hebrew was a masculine language, right? So like when they say fathers and it's talking about forefathers, it just means the older generation, right? Just honoring them is going to make an atonement for your sins. The Most High is going to see and say, you know what? All right, you went off last week, you did this, that, whatever, but now look, you're putting into these people, you're trying to bring them into the truth, you're trying to help them with my word and things of that nature, right? So he's going to see that, and that's going to make an atonement for sins, right? Go back to the comments real quick. So Khan, going back to our ancestral roots, I'm guilty of it. So I'm assuming you mean like, being too harsh on family members, things of that nature. And I think we've all been through that. Would you agree, Art, at one point or another?
Yeah, most definitely. Especially coming in, I feel like you're just so you're filled with fervor, and you want everyone to kind of come into the truth, because you're on fire in a way,
Con.
and you want everyone to be on that same accord. But you know, Ecclesiastes, what is it? 3. Everything has a season.
Con, exactly. Exactly. But yeah, just like you said, I think you just come in, you're coming in hot, right?
Yeah.
That's what you say. But Con, so September of last year, so Con, so being pretty new, you know what I'm saying? That's an easy thing to do. That's something we're all guilty of, and that's just something we gotta check ourselves on. So Con, only the Most High can reveal it to them, right? So just like the Og Jomar said, I mean, everything has a season. And if it's not their season, if it's not their time under the sun to learn a certain part of the truth, then it's not their time yet, right? We can't force on them what the Most High hasn't revealed to them yet, right? So let's go back to the second Ezra, the first chapter. So we have to teach our children to keep them away from being cursed, right? Go ahead, Og.
And your children shall not be fruitful, for they have despised my commandment and done the thing that is an evil before me.
So if your children are despising the commandments of the Most High, they want to choose the things that are evil, then guess what? I mean, plain and simple, they're not going to be fruitful. The things that they do is just like in Wisdom of Solomon, the 3rd chapter that we read. Your works aren't going to be fruitful. If you're going against the Most High, your children, it's the exact same thing, right? And I know I've known some brothers that they seem sincere in the truth and try to raise up their children right and everything. And hey, man, their children still weren't following the word. Their children still went off, right? I talked to a sister not too long ago that had said when she was younger, I believe she's like 20 now. When she was younger as a child, her father was teaching her Hebrew and teaching her about the word, her and her brother. And they ended up, going off and going into the world and so on and so forth and doing their own thing. And now that they're older, they're both coming back into the truth, right? So it's all about the Most High's timing. But at the same time, if those children are in our house and we're trying to follow the word, you have to the best of your ability, try to teach them this word and make sure that they're not acting wickedly in your home, right? I mean, think about it. Before Yahushua came, you could have your children put to death for being disobedient and for continuing to dishonor and bring shame to your household. You could have brought up charges on them to the priests, right, to the judges, and had them put to death. But most people won't even that's the spirit that our ancestors were in. But most people don't even have the spirit to chasten their children, right? To help their children to be fruitful. Because like it says, they're not going to be fruitful if they're living against the commandments and they're doing evil before the Most High. So we have to understand that just like with the Most High, we have to follow him in order for things to be right. It's the same thing with our children. They have to follow us in order for things to go right with them. Right? So let's go to let me see. You have anything to add to that?
No, not at the moment.
Okay. Well, you know what? Let's go to. I have a lot of verses written down, but let me see. Okay, calm. Go ahead, Doc.
This is 3 John 1 and 4. I have no greater joy than to hear that my children walk in truth.
So the Most High has no greater joy than to hear that his children are walking in truth. So we have to be able to say the same thing. Like, for example, when my daughter decided just out of nowhere, it wasn't out of nowhere, right? It was all thanks to the Most High. But like to start doing certain things without us even asking, like she just came out with a head wrap. Like earlier today, my rib was cooking before Sabbath, and she just came out and she was like, "Oh, you need help with anything?" She was like, "Oh yeah, go ahead, you can cut the squash." Boom, started cutting them up, right? Or hey, I have money saved, I want to get a Bible. You know what I mean? There's no that brings so much. Me and my rib are looking at each other like, "Oh damn," you know what I mean? There's no greater joy to the Most High than to hear that we're walking in truth. And as a parent of the Most High, I mean, there's nothing that could compare to that. Like, especially coming from like what I was saying earlier, how she was, the things that happened with her recently. It was like, man, that's just a great joy. It's just like, man, I can't really say nothing else but the water to the Most High. And I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but man, there's been points in my life where it's just like, I don't even know what to say. Just the water, the water, the water. Like that's it.
Yeah, sometimes the prayers just the water, just thanks, for things that he does when we know it and things that he does when we don't. Because a lot of times, he's behind the scenes and we may not even know what he's doing for us, so I'm just always grateful.
Most definitely, most definitely. And it's crazy, like when you say that, because a lot of people don't think about that. Like if the Most High is in control of everything, like any little thing that goes right, it's of the Most High, right? Anything that, like during our day, like I said, pray without ceasing. I mean, we have to understand that just means like every good thing that happens to us, we should be thanking the Most High for. So go ahead, up.
Colossians 3 and 20. Children, obey your parents in all things, for this is well pleasing unto the Lord.
So it's well pleasing to the Most High for children to obey their parents, right? And how are they going to obey them correctly if we're not teaching them, right? Go ahead.
Colossians 3 and 21. Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged.
So this is another thing though. Fathers, mothers, don't provoke your children to anger, right? We can't say or do things to try and get them mad, right? That's going to discourage them, right? One of the most basic verses on this topic, which I know everybody knows, right? Is right here. Salakia. 6 days, 7 days. Go ahead.
Exodus 20, verse 12. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy God gave thee.
So honor your father and mother. This is obviously a commandment. But when you're provoking your children to anger constantly, it's going to discourage them from wanting to honor you. It's going to discourage them from wanting to listen to you, right? They're going to hold resentment and anger towards you. But what I really like about this verse is it says that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy God giveth thee. So this is the first commandment with promise, is what the scriptures say. There's a promise at the end of this. Honor your father and mother, and your days will be long upon the land. Talking about making it to the kingdom, right? So why would it say that about this specific commandment, right? Because when you talk about the spirit of the law, the spirit behind this is also, I mean, the father, the main father is the Most High, Yahweh, right? So honoring your father, honoring first and foremost the Most High, right, is going to lead us to having them long days upon the land which Yahweh gives you, which is the Holy Land, right, the kingdom, and it's going to be the whole earth, in reality. So pull it up real quick. What is it? Ephesians 6. Ephesians 6. Go ahead, Art.
Ephesians 6:1. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor thy father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise.
That's the first commandment with promise. Honoring your father and your mother. It's like we read in Sirach, the 3rd chapter. It says, just by honoring your father and your mother, it's going to make an atonement for sins. Right? Just honor your parents, and it's going to, the Most High is going to be like, okay, that's an atonement for some of these sins. Right? Like the Day of Atonement, why do we fast? Why do we fast on the Day of Atonement? To make an atonement for our sins. Right? It's the same thing with this. Just by honoring your father and mother, there's a promise behind that. Honor your father and mother. Honor the Father, Abanawa, Yahweh, our Father in heaven. And there's the promise behind that is, guess what? You'll actually, it's the word says you will make it to the Holy Land just by doing that. Go to 2nd Ezra. Go ahead,
2nd Ezra 2:27. Be not wary, for when the day of trouble and heaviness cometh, others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance.
So in the day of trouble, in Jacob's trouble, heaviness is going to come. Spiritual heaviness, financial heaviness, all types of heaviness, right? Others shall weep and be sorrowful, but thou shalt be merry and have abundance. Talking to those who are following the Most High, right? Go ahead.
The heathen shall envy thee, but they shall be able to do nothing against thee, said the Lord.
The people that are not living according to the word are going to envy people that are doing all right. Go ahead.
My hands shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell.
This is one of Noah's favorites too. My hand shall cover thee, so that thy children shall not see hell. So that your children aren't going to have to go through all these hellish afflictions and all these things that are going to happen and come to pass in Jacob's trouble. Right? All these things that are going to happen to the wicked. And when you really think about it, you don't want your children to have to suffer just because you're being wicked, right? Because a lot of people have children that are too young to even understand the word, right? Maybe they have babies, but they're going to have to suffer because you want to be wicked and you want to smoke weed and fornicate and break Sabbath and eat unclean foods and disrespect the Most High and disrespect your parents and do all these things that go against Yahweh. So then in turn, your children will have to suffer in Jacob's trouble. Go ahead up.
Sirach 17 and 22. The alms of a man is as a sign with him, and he will keep the good deeds of a man in the apple of the eye, and giveth repentance to his sons and daughters.
So the alms of a man, the good deeds, whether it be any kind of charity, whether it be financially, maybe you give to a camp or a brother or somebody who's poured wisdom into you, or whether it be, you know what, this person needs help with the word, right? That's definitely one of the most important types of alms. Okay, this person, it just came into the truth. Let me study with them for a couple hours. That's a very important alm, right? The alms of a man is a signet or signet with him. So if you look at the root of this word, it's a sign, right? It's a sign of what kind of man you are. And he will keep the good deeds of a man as the apple of the eye. The Most High sees these things, and those good deeds, that's the apple of his eye. That's like, oh man, he's doing good deeds, right? It's like Yahushua said in Matthew 7 and 20. By fruits you're gonna know the tree. By the deeds of a man, that's how you're gonna know what type of man he really is. And give repentance to his sons and daughters, right? Just by you doing good deeds, right? The Most High is gonna allow your house, your sons, your daughters, a more chance of repentance, right? Because all these types of alms, and like I said, the most important alm that you could give. Let's go to James, the 5th chapter, real quick. Is by helping someone out spiritually, right? When people see alms and charity, the majority of the times they think money, which of course that could be financially, right? But this is the most important type of alm right here. Go ahead, Ak.
Brethren, if any of you do err from the truth, and one convert him, let him know that he which converted the sinner from the error of his way shall save a soul from death, and shall hide a multitude of sins.
So just by helping to convert somebody back, if they're erring from the truth, they're not keeping Sabbath, right? They're eating pork, shellfish, whatever it is. They're fornicating. They're even something simple like not wearing fringes. They're not studying, right? They're not being set apart, breaking Sabbath, whatever the case may be. And you correct them and you convert them and you show them, right? You're not, oh man, you're gonna be put to death. You're not keeping Sabbath, right? You come with compassion. Some people need to be scared into it. Some people need to have compassion to come into it, right? But if you convert this sinner from the error of his way, not only are you saving them from death, but you're also hiding a multitude of sin. Just like I said in the last verse, the Most High is giving you more chance of repentance, right? And it doesn't say, okay, you're hiding one sin. I'm going to forget about that one thing you did. It says you're going to hide a multitude of sins, right? So it's always good to help people and give that alm of the word, right? Especially if somebody has an ear to hear. If somebody wants to hear the word and you got time, right? There's really nothing better you could do with your time unless you're praying, studying, fasting, things of that nature, right? Go ahead and read this out.
Jude 1 and 22. And of some have compassion, making a difference.
So some people, though, you need to have compassion, right? You need to, hey, you know what? Say someone older, especially, hey, Thea, look, I just really want to tell you this. I've been getting into the Bible and I've really been studying, and we're not supposed to eat pig. It's actually unclean. It's a commandment. Look right here in Leviticus 11, it says we can't eat it. It's unclean to us. We're not even supposed to touch it. If we eat it or touch it, we're going to be unclean until even. Look right here, Christ said in Matthew 5:17 and 18, the laws aren't done away with. But Luke 4:1 says that the laws endure forever. So we really got to keep this law, right? That's how you show that compassion, right? Go ahead.
And others save with fear, pulling them out of the fire, hating even the garment spotted by the flesh.
And others you got to save with fear, right? Pulling them out of the fire. Some people you got to be like the same thing. Look, we can't eat pork. And then you go to Isaiah 66, right? Where it says that Yahushua is going to come with fire and a sword, right? And he's going to kill everybody. Some people you got to scare into it, right? Or one of the verses for anybody who has children, this is always the verse that I go to, right? If you're trying to scare them into it. Go ahead, Ak.
Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children.
Khan. So everybody knows this part. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Our children are spiritually destroyed for lack of knowledge. Me and you, Ak, and everybody who's seeing this at one point were destroyed spiritually, mentally, for lack of knowledge. Right? We didn't have the knowledge of the word. Because thou hast rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy God, I will also forget thy children. That's something that can scare people, most high willing, put that fear of them into wanting to follow the truth. Hey, look, you don't want to follow the laws of the Most High, he's going to forget about your children. Right? He's gonna, in those days of trouble, your children could get put to death just because you don't want to follow the Most High. Right? That's a heavy thing, or one instance of being able to scare them into it. Right? Showing them this right here. Your children will be dashed to pieces before your eyes. Right? That's a fearful thing to put on somebody. But that all comes down to discernment on how to deal with people, right? Go to the comments real quick. The Most High has changed me from a 360 arc. I praise the Most High. I should have been dead plenty of times. By his mercy, I am obedient to the best of my ability. Khan, I'll praise the Most High. It is a beautiful thing to follow the Most High, and now it's my life to be Kadash and be obedient, although it is beyond measure, to give him praise and honor, our Abba, for his mercy. So Khan, all praise to the Most High. I feel the exact same way. I mean, there's many times I could have died. I could have been in jail. I'm sure we all have testimonies like that, wouldn't you say, Ak?
Most definitely. All praises.
Khan. I remember actually me and my rib were talking about maybe a couple weeks ago. We never really liked going to parties, things of that nature. When me and my rib first started dating, we would just smoke weed and hang out. That's all we would do. You know, maybe go cruise and listen to some oldies. But we never really went to parties. But one time we went to a party. We went to a party at one of my cousin's house, and it was in the town over, which is probably about 20 minutes away. And neither one of us really liked drinking. But we were playing beer pong. I think we took a couple shots. We were smoking blunts. We're doing all manner of wickedness. And I remember, the last thing I remember is we were leaving the party. I was really buzzed, or not even buzzed. I was drunk. My rib was drunk. She told me, the last thing I remember, It was like a cul-de-sac, a dead end. And she was like, is it cool if I go to sleep? I'm really tired. So I was like, yeah, I got this, right? All prideful. She goes to sleep. And I remember taking off from the dead end. And that's the last thing I remember. And then the next day, I mean, we woke up at her mom's house, whatever. And she asked me like, oh man, I don't even remember getting home, blah, blah, blah. Like you're okay to drive, whatever. And I didn't remember. I didn't remember nothing. But somehow the Most High allowed us to get home. And of course I tried to play it off, right? Oh yeah, you were drunk, blah, 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 right? But man, bro, like that and multiple times. There's so many stories I could tell you, but that one in particular, she mentioned, and I was like, I told her the truth. I was like, hey, I don't even remember what happened. That was all the Most High, just keeping us safe, right? But other situations too, as well. I mean, a couple of times, just being stupid. We could have got shot up by the cartel. Could have got kidnapped one time by the cartel, stealing from the wrong people, man. Like so many things. Going back to what the brother said, like it's all because of the Most High that we're in the position that we're in right now to even try to follow the truth to the best of our ability, right? So we do have to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High at all times, right? I was looking for a verse, can't find it. That was in Proverbs.
Which one?
It says like reproof gives wisdom. I think it's in Proverbs. I guess I didn't write it down. I think it's maybe 19 or 29.
29:15.
Okay, Con 29. 29:15.
Con.
If you got it, you can go ahead and read it.
This is Proverbs 29:15. The rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame.
Come on, the rod and reproof gives wisdom. Punishing your kids, reproving your kids, correcting your kids, it's going to give them wisdom. Even if it's just, okay, if I do that again, I'm going to get whooped again. I'm going to get the chancla, right? I'm going to get the palo. I'm going to get whatever. I'm going to get the mano. Whatever it is, it's going to give them wisdom. And if you're backing it up with scripture, how much better, right?
Salakia, you think you could get away when I was little? You know, maybe you're in close proximity, and you know you're gonna get the manazo, or you're gonna get the nalgada. But I learned the hard way. I couldn't even run. You know, my mom had the chancla on deck and just chucked it across the room. You know, so. But that just goes to show, you know, when you're young and little, those things translate differently in our minds, you know. So that kind of gave me the impression I can't even run away. You know, I'm gonna get got anyways. But you know, that's just that wisdom. If I mean, growing up, you choose to learn from it.
And it's funny now that, like, looking back, like how they say hindsight is 20/20. But the Most High is the perfect director of the perfect movie, and he put all of our parts, all these little things. In hindsight, it's like when you watch a movie and you see something and you're just like, and then later on you're like, oh, that's why.
Yeah, yep.
Like, that's the same thing. Right, that's the same. We went through all these things and experienced all these things that prove the scriptures right, and now we're like, man, the Most High really made it work like that. Like, you know. So the rod and reproof give wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother and his father shame. So this is one of the biggest problems with this generation in general. You leave your child to themselves. You let them be on the telephone or the on the internet, on YouTube, on Netflix, on video games, right? All by themselves all day long, and that's going to bring you shame. And then later on, oh, I don't know how he turned out this. I don't know why she's doing this. Well, that's what you left them to do, right? If you don't raise up your children, if you don't train up your child, then this world is going to train up your child. And this world is not going to train up your child according to the scriptures. That's the last thing that this world is going to do, right? We go to 17.
Proverbs 29:17. Correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yeah, he shall give delight unto thy soul.
Correct your son, and he shall give you rest. Right? You correct them. Yeah, it's gonna take. Maybe it takes a little while. Maybe it takes a few days. Maybe it takes a few weeks. Maybe it takes a few months. But after that, once they get it down, it's gonna give you rest that you don't have to. You don't have to keep getting mad every single. Oh my God, why is he? Well, you haven't corrected him, right? He shall give delight unto thy soul. Your soul's gonna. That's probably the best way I could explain it. When I saw my daughter, who we had just gone through that whole situation with, and she came out of her room and she had her head wrapped, and she was oh yeah, and she even told us, I didn't even mention that, she even told us, she was like, we were studying, and before we were waiting for my oldest daughter to get a head covering and stuff, and my younger daughter, she was like, oh yeah, so I decided I want to follow the Bible because like I just feel really sad when I'm not trying to, and I just feel like things are harder when I don't. So I want to follow it now. And like that's exactly, there's no other way I could put it. Like that brought delight to my soul. And me and my rib just kind of looked at each other like, damn, like that's all the Most High.
All praises.
All praise the Most High. And after going through that, like damn, like, I can't even tell you, like she chopped her hair, which I mean that's to me that's spirits. You know what I mean? That's spirits. There's no other way of saying. No person in their right mind. And it's funny because a sister that I know, or that I used to talk to, don't really talk to her that much anymore, but she had done the same thing. One day she contacted me and my rib, and she was just like, hey, I felt like bad vibes or bad energy in my hair, so I just chopped it all off, like out of nowhere, just right. And we're like, that wasn't vibes, that was spirits that are getting to you and making you do that, right?
Yeah.
And it was the same thing with my daughter. She chopped her hair. She's saying she wants to be this whatever, what she didn't even really understand what it meant, pansexual. But the Most High, through correction, right? Because I did correct her according to, and I said, look, the word says this. If you're not gonna follow it, you're gonna have to get out, or you're either gonna get down with it or you're gonna get out, right? And then through prayer, through faith, being willing to give up your child, like I had said, like Abraham, correcting, and it eventually brought the light to me, my rib, and I'm sure my daughters as well, because as she's been studying this past probably week and a half, and you could tell her spirit is just lighter. She's happier. She's helping more. She's doing her chores without even asking. She's helping and playing with our younger children even more. Right? Khan, the water. But Khan, that was probably one of the biggest tests I feel, right, that I've gone through so far. So that being said, let's just get a couple of scriptures in Isaiah, and I'll end it. Go to Isaiah 58. Let me see. Go ahead,
Isaiah 58:12. And they that shall be of thee shall build the old waste places. Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations, and thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in.
So this is talking about in the kingdom, but this is what we're trying to do now, right? In these last days, we're in the kingdom, we're going to build up all the waste places because we know that the Most High is going to destroy the earth, right? Thou shalt raise up the foundations of many generations. The generation right now, and that's why, like, I've talked to a few brothers about the same thing. Like, that's how we know that the end is so near, because there's children right now that are being raised up, right? That foundation, they are the foundation of many generations. Because imagine a whole generation of children, thousands of little Israelite children like Noah, who've never tasted pork before, who know they can't play and run and fight, because me and him are always fighting and doing jiu-jitsu and stuff. He knows he can't do that on the Sabbath. He knows we can't cook on the Sabbath, right? He knows we pray before or after every meal, before we go to sleep, right? He knows he has to respect us. He knows he has to be respectful to his elders. When that's what we're doing, whether we realize it or not. We're raising up the foundation of many generations, right? Thou shalt be called the repairer of the breach, the restorer of paths to dwell in. We're restoring the path that we are going to dwell in the kingdom and forever, Most High willing. And then it goes on to say, if you keep the Sabbath, right, which is, and call the Sabbath a delight, right? Or actually, go ahead and read. We'll read the next two verses.
Con. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, the holy of the Lord honorable, and shalt honor him, and not doing thine own ways, nor finding thine own pleasure, nor speaking thine own words.
So if we turn away our foot from the Sabbath, we're not going to do our own thing, and we're going to follow the Sabbath. We turn away from doing our own pleasures on this holy day. We delight in the Sabbath. Because like we've talked about before, right? Like when me and my rib first kept the Sabbath, it was like, man, we can't cook. I was like, man, I can't work out. Man, I can't go to the gym and train, right? But now it's a delight.
I can't wait for the Sabbath.
Con.
Soon as Sunday hits, I'm like, man, I can't wait for the next Sabbath, man.
Right. Exactly. It's like, man, Sabbath's already over.
Yeah. Con.
Right. Sometimes it's like, man, sometimes for me, since I have my own business, it's like Sabbath's over Saturday, and I'm like, man, I got a bunch of work tomorrow.
I feel it.
But yeah, so we call it an honorable, right? We respect it. We honor the Most High. We don't do our own ways, right? We don't do our own pleasure or be speaking our own words. Like just being on here, let's see. We've already been on here, what, 2 hours and 18 minutes? So, I mean, just being on here and speaking the Most High's words for 2 hours, that's helping us and everyone else to honor the Sabbath. All right? Go ahead.
Then shalt thou delight thyself in the Lord, and I will cause thee to ride upon the high places of the earth, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it.
Con. So once we're doing this, we're gonna delight in Yahweh, right? And he's gonna cause us to ride upon the high places of the earth. In other words, we're gonna own, like it says, to the utmost parts of the earth. The Most High is gonna give us the earth as an inheritance to the utmost parts of the earth. It says in Psalms, the Israelites are going to run and control and rule the whole earth under Yahweh and Yahushua, and feed thee with the heritage of Jacob thy father, for the mouth of Yahweh has spoken it. So the heritage, let me get that real quick. Sirach 13. Our heritage. Salakia, let me see. You know what is it? Second Ezra's? No, I believe it's Sirach. Let me get it real quick. Salakia 17. Sirach 17. It says, I will feed you with the heritage of Jacob. Right? This is that heritage that he's talking about. This is what we're feeding our children as well. Go ahead.
Besides this, he gave them knowledge and the law of life for an heritage.
So the Most High gives us knowledge, we know that. And the law of life for a heritage. These laws, statutes, and commandments, the word, that is our heritage. Right? That is what we're supposed to be passing down to our children. Our heritage is what belongs to us, and we're supposed to keep perpetuating it throughout our generations. Right? So as long as we're doing that, that is how we raise up the foundations of many generations. Right? That's how we repair the breach. It's like our fathers, right? Our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they were how could you say, I guess, aligned with the Most High, right? But Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, even Moses, right? You have to understand these were many generations, and then there was many generations after them that weren't following after the Most High. Like we could think back, our fathers, our grandfathers, our great grandfathers, our great great grandfathers. There was that breach, right? And now we are repairing the breach by teaching the next generation, right? And that's how we restore the paths to dwelling. And as long as we do that, Most High willing, us and our children get to be a part of that number, right? This is what's going to happen. Go ahead.
As for me, this is my covenant with them, said the Lord. My spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth, shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed's seed, said the Lord, from henceforth and forever.
So these words, right? This the Bible, which is the spirit, which is all things that are good, knowledge, wisdom, understanding, all of these things, just like it says in Hebrews the 8th chapter and in Jeremiah as well, that new covenant where it's going to be in our heart, in our mind. We're not even going to have to think about anything. We're not going to have to teach each other. We're not even going to have to, we wouldn't even have to study to learn anything because we're going to have it in our heart, in our mind, and in our mouth, right? That's the covenant. That's that new covenant. It says it will not depart from our mouth, nor out of the mouth of our seed, out of our children. Our children are going to be following the law, statutes, and commandments in the kingdom as well, Most High willing, if we make it. Saith Yahweh, from henceforth and forever, right? Forever. We won't have to be correcting our children and chastising our children. And oh man, our children are going off and worrying about our children, right? We won't have to do that anymore once we make it to the kingdom. Most High willing, we get to be a part of that number. So let's finish with is Isaiah 60 and 21.
This is Isaiah chapter 60, verse 21. Thy people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified.
So thy people shall be all righteous. Everybody who makes it to the kingdom, right? All of our children shall be righteous. Most High willing, we get to make it. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting. In other words, because the Most High made it happen. We can't take credit, right? The Most High put that spirit on our children to follow the word. He put the spirit on us to teach our children. And if we get to make it, Most High willing, it's the branch of his planting. He planted that seed, right? The work of my hands, that I may be glorified. And that's why we give all praises, honor, and glory to the Most High. Because this is for him to be glorified, not for ourselves. Go ahead.
A little one shall become 1,000, and a small one a strong nation. I, the Lord, will hasten it in his time.
Con. So I think about that, and I've meditated on that before. Like, I can imagine Noah, right, becoming 1,000, and he's a small one, right? He's a small child right now. But imagine him becoming a strong nation, him having his own children, all righteous, like it says in the verse before, right? Thy people also shall be all righteous. I can imagine that. Imagine having children and they're all walking according to the law, statutes, and commandments. That would be a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. Okay, I'm gonna go to the comments real quick, and then we'll go ahead and finish it off. The Most High has changed. Okay, yeah, we read that one. I know this is a bit off topic, but why did you say in your post that 56% of the tribe chart is 56% accurate? Oh, okay, I know what you're saying. I put hold up.
100 emoji.
Con. So I'll take it off airplane mode real quick. Hopefully it doesn't mess up my connection. Sometimes I just like to post things that I know are gonna go over some people's heads. But it's all good. So Con. It says 100. I will put it, but it's too small to. I don't know if you can see that. But it says it's 200s, right? So it's 100 and 100. And then it says minus 56% truth. So 200 minus 56 is 144. So it's 144% truth is what it said. Right? It wasn't that deep. But kind of is, right? But yeah, that chart is that's the real 12 tribes charts, right? So Khan Ak Shabbat Shalom Mashbacha from Pomona, California. So Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. As a matter of fact, I had let me go to something real quick. I was gonna show you later, Jomar, but I might as well just show you on here so we don't have to get to it later. Real quick. Somebody asked me about this, and I had looked into it a while back, and I kind of pushed it to the side. I was like, it's cool, whatever. But someone brought it up again, so I'm gonna go over it real quick. So the word shalom, right? So in the modern Hebrew, it would be
Strong's H8002. Shelem.
So we know there's no e's, right, in the ancient or the Paleo Hebrew. But still, this is a shah, right? La and ma, right? So there's other I guess you could say roots or other words that come from the same root But in the Hebrew, there's at least to my understanding, I looked at a bunch of different verses, because we say shalom, right?
Con.
So I have not found one where it has the U, cause in the modern Hebrew it'll have the U, like shalom or Yahusha instead of Yahawashai, right? There's no at least to my understanding, if somebody can find one and give me the Hebrew number on it, I'd be more than happy to go to it. But I've looked for a lot. I've looked at a lot of them, and it's always Sha La Ma. So according to my understanding or to my research, it would actually be Shalom or Shalom, right? There's no W in the Hebrew. You ever heard that out?
No, I think I did notice you say it. When did you say it? Oh, you said it today. I noticed it when you text me.
Okay, Con. Yeah, I was gonna show you it later, right? But like if you go to any book, that was Genesis. Let's go to I guess Leviticus, right? And again, maybe somebody has found the Hebrew word, but to my understanding, I've looked at a lot of them. So right here again, it's the same of peace offerings. Go to it.
Shalom.
Sha La Ma. SH, then the L, and then the M. There's never any, and in some of them on the pronunciation, it'll say Sha, and then it'll have a LOWM, like loam, if you pronounce it under the pronunciation, right? But it's always Sha La Ma. There's never a W or a U in the modern, right? So for me, I was just gonna let you know, because I know you would, like you said you already caught it in the when I texted you, but and what
Yeah,
did I Shabbat Shalom, right?
yeah. You said you said Shabbat Shalom. And then I was like, I don't know what happened there, but I was gonna ask you about it, but that's interesting you brought that up. I was just watching the Church of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. I think it's that one. Him going over the Paleo Hebrew for the names. I was just watching those at work the other day, but interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, we could talk about that later too.
Con. Yeah, for sure. I believe I've seen a few of them. I don't know if I've seen all the videos on that, but
Yeah.
Con, just wanted to point that out because like the brother just said right now, Shabbat Shalom, which again there was no E, I mean no O. So in here it would be like in the paleo, the most
Shalom.
was an A, so it would actually be Shalom. I don't know where people got the W from, but again, I mean it's just like everything else. A lot of it's just passed down, and people don't ask questions. They don't look into it for themselves, and they just go along with it, you know.
Con.
But yeah, I just wanted to point that out to you real quick, because I know
The water, because I'm in a position where I'm doing a lot of learning on that, and and in a position to teach too. So I definitely any discernment passed down is always appreciated. So the water.
Con, all praise the Most High for that. So Con, if there's no more questions in the comments, I don't see any more questions. Tomorrow I'm gonna do a live as well. If you want to read out, if you got time. If not, it's all good. So it just says your Christian church is antichrist, and then it says Christianity versus the Bible. right? So basically, we're just gonna go. It really isn't gonna be. It shouldn't be that long, but we're just gonna go over Christianity's doctrines, common Christian doctrines, what the Christian church says, and then we're gonna prove with the Bible that these things are actually antichrist. They go against what Christ said, right? So I say that's a very important one, but
Okay.
also easy one, right? Like the brother Daniel Allah said the other day, a lot of these doctrines are just punching bags, right?
Con.
A lot of these doctrines are really, if you got the Bible, you got the double-edged sword, you're just gonna cut it to pieces. So with that, you got anything to say real quick, Art?
Nah, the water for the lesson. Much appreciated. All praise to the Most High.
All praise to the Most High. So with that, I'll say Shabbat Shalom and Yahweh Bashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai Barakatah to Yuak and to all the brothers and sisters that are striving to live out the word in truth and in sincerity and in humility. All right, so I pray you have a good one, Ak.
Likewise, shalom.
Shalom.